Happy Carnival, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Parade Route. Today we have the very special honor of celebrating with a crew that's been around for a very long time and has an illustrious history, 75 years in fact. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the crew of Okeanos with us.
Hey, all
Hey. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Glad y'all can make it down here to come see us. Yeah, we've been around since 1949, and the crew of Okeanos had started basically in this neighborhood. So we are down in the Bywater, and literally we used to leave out, go down to Poland, and then parade down St. Claude Avenue. So it was all St. Claude Avenue business owners that started the parade
Okay.
to bring some carnival to the neighborhood. And with the resurgence in the neighborhood, we're getting a lot of requests to, come back. But, all the parades are kind of concentrated. We were the first weekend, and now we're on the second weekend. We took Venus's spot, but it has been it's been a great run. We're down here in the Bywater and have our own den and have our own floats, which kind of has helped us get through some of the leaner times. But we have, in the last 10 or 15 years, really grown and redone most of our floats. So it's been a good run.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people will notice that we are in your den. You're doing the load up on all your floats, and I went and walked around, and you look like you're going to have a beautiful parade.
Thank you. Yeah, we after Katrina, we had I think 9 to 11 foot of water in different areas of the den when the levee broke right behind us. So we had to redo a lot of our floats. A lot of our floats were the original garbage wagons from the city of New Orleans that they used to pull behind, and a lot of our floats looked something, the undercarriage looked a lot like you'll see in a Proteus parade. Yeah. So we've only got I think 2.5 floats or 2 floats that have the actual old chassis like that under them. We were phasing out 2 of them. It just got to be really hard for parts and pieces to work on. But we have updated almost the entire fleet, and we added the Hippocampus a couple years ago, which is a double decker for our parade, which is more classic, 14, 16 man floats. We went to that one and put 50 just because it, for ease and for working a bigger crew that comes in town. So that has been what we've been doing as of late.
So if you don't mind me asking, what's y'all's ridership this year?
Our ridership's around 350, and
Okay.
that basically we've gone as high as 400, 425, but we stay between 300 and 375 because that's what our floats will hold that we can fit in the den. So we stay about there, so we don't have to rent any floats, and we keep all of our floats here. So Captain, King, Queen, all the way through. And we'll put out 22 floats this year. If something happens, we have another float in reserve that we can pull back in. It's one of the older carriages that we're trying to weld out. But that's the way it is. But the left-hand side of our den was actually a low side that was meant for the riders to get dressed. And my father actually built the den 50 years ago. So when it got erected, he was the guy up there hanging the steel, but that side of the den was meant for you to come down to get dressed, get your costume, and then get on your floats in the den and pull them on out. So what we did to the left-hand side of the den with the low ceiling is we went through a big capital campaign, which we're raising money for, but the left-hand side of the den got raised, and so we raised the den. After Ida, we had lost most of the roof, so we replaced the roof and added onto the den at the same time. So been a big capital campaign that's been going on.
Hurricanes have tried to dampen your parade, but
they did.
I haven't noticed it, as you ride, though. I mean, y'all get it together and put it on the show.
Yeah, I mean, you go back through the years, and this being my 40th year of our 75 years that I've been here for, I've been riding for a long time, and it's, we've had fires. A rider left a cigarette on the float back in the 70s, and then, the den burned, and, Katrina had 9 foot of water throughout the whole thing. So, you go through a lot of different things with Carnival, and, a lot of times these floats aren't touched for 4 or 5 months at a time. Yeah. So, and then you got to come back in and refresh them, repaint them, redo everything. So it's been, throughout the years they've seen its ups and downs. In the last 10 to 15 years, we've had a lot of interest in people that are, kind of involved year round. So different events, whether we do a crawfish boil or a fish fry or a golf tournament. and kind of stay awake. And people come down now more often, come see their floats and add drink holders or different times they want to come down and just
accoutrements
right, yeah, they just
to make
come
that
down.
ride that much more enjoyable.
And with the smaller parade, we are able to offer that, so you can come down and come, within reason. You can't do crazy things, but, you can come tweak your floats. We've got guys that put speakers or, do a little bit better bathroom accompaniment. So, yeah, that's been good. It's part of a good family parade. We do have a lot of people that have come in from Dallas, and I've got guys that I went to college with that actually still come in and ride from New Jersey and from Sacramento and from Dallas that still come back every year to take on the same thing that they did 30 years ago to riding in a parade. So
y'all already have members from across the nation.
Yeah, it's on our website, and I'd have to ask David, but I think we have riders from 27 states that come in, and some of these people are people that worked in New Orleans and got sourced out.
Right.
We've got some that come in from Hawaii every year. We've got some that come in from Nevada. Actually, about 6 riders from Nevada and 2 or 3 from California South, and then I think 5 from Sacramento. So, yeah, those are just guys that actually went to LSU and now. And they came. I got them to come down and ride when they were here at LSU, and now they still come back. And now they come back. They bring family. They bring friends, because it's a time of year when if you get that experience, if you get that bug of riding in a parade and experiencing carnival, you want to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just something that friends that come in are just like, wow. I mean, this is incredible.
Y'all ride early, but y'all ride to some really thick crowds for such an early parade.
And we worked with the police, and NOPD was great when they saw that Jefferson was wide enough. And I was in a cruiser with at the time it was Lieutenant Valiente or Sergeant Val. I can't remember what his rank was, but he said, "There's no way." And so I said, "No, I work uptown every day. I'm telling you."
Yeah.
So he went down there. He goes, "Man, you're right. It's great because the Nutriground doesn't cross over Magazine, it stops." Mm-hmm. And so when you go next to the Porter's home, there's lots of room there. So I think at that day it was Muses and Okeanos got the green light to go from Jefferson, which is a great addition to the route.
Yeah.
I mean that adds not only just the mileage, but what it adds is a great family atmosphere coming out of that Magazine corridor, coming up to
several crews that we've talked with have all said that is, they were like, oh, it's amazing to ride on St. Charles, but my favorite part of the route is that route along, Magazine, and, because it's, like you said, it's families, it's...
Oh, it's families. It's people that just walk out of their house and they host. And I mean, look, Toth started a long time ago with the Children's Hospital part of that route, and I'm so glad that Penny and the guys got their route back because the neighborhood needs it, and it's great. We have a little bit less, coming from Jefferson, but that part of the Magazine route is incredible. I mean that brings it, and then you like now all of a sudden you got to buy more stuff, you got to buy more beads because you really exhaust a lot of your throats because you see so many people on that part. But when you turn on Napoleon off Magazine, I mean the crowds are deep. When you take the turn on to St. Charles off Napoleon, that's sometimes that's 15, 20 deep.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy going
especially
past,
on y'all's parade
on that Sunday. I mean, when you take the right onto St. Charles, I mean it is just stacked and packed all the way past St. Charles Inn and the Superior Grill where all the families are coming out, and they're on the Nutriground. They're coming out from both sides of St. Charles, and it's just a wall of people. There's a lot of people. It's I ride in other parades. I'm just very partial to that Sunday because I think it's the best family day out there.
It is.
I've been on the same corner since 5th grade.
Right.
Same exact corner on General Pershing right there. So like the first turn y'all make, we're the idiots on the corner.
And look, my sister's been on she's on Navarre and on St. Charles, and she's been on that corner. I mean, the people that she knows has now moved, but she still goes to that corner and walks up because she knows everybody there. She sees them every carnival, and they come from all different parts of the city. But that's what Mardi Gras is about, and that's what makes it fun. So yeah, absolutely.
To me, Endymion has had that thing where you don't have to announce where you're going to be. I know where my friends are every year. Back that Sunday, Okeanos Sunday, excuse me. Well, has a lot of the same thing. Like, we've been on the same corner forever. We don't tell people we're going; they just know.
Yeah, people
Absolutely.
just show up.
Well,
And like you said, with your sister, where she goes over there just because she knows all the people around her. I mean, it's the same way for us. That it's not just like the person who sits to the left of me or the right. It's literally the people across the street.
Oh, yeah.
For like a block.
right. You
We
see
all
that-
know each other, and
Right, you see
when
that-
we
you
get
see that-
there, we're drinking our coffee, and we'll go shake their hand and catch up with them. And
see how much their kids are growing up.
Right,
Oh,
right,
God,
yeah.
man, this is it's fun. That's part of the culture in New Orleans that people that come from out of town don't understand. My son's dating a girl from Texas right now, and she came to the ball, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever." And then so I said, "Well, what I'm going to do? I'm going to put you on a float, and then." People are going to think you're crazy because, you're going to go throw money off of a float, basically.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to come back and do it every year.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a Henry Ford thing. Let me buy you the car because I'm going to make my money back in maintenance. Because let me get you a ride in the parade because you're going to want to come back and ride year after year after year. And I've got friends that are now officers in the parade that have been riding for 25 years that are like, God, you suckered me in. But they come back. Now they bring their family back. Then they bring, I've got a guy that basically has a float of people that come in from Texas because they absolutely love it. So, it gets in your blood, and it's one of those things. When you're doing your budget at the end of the year, you're like, okay, well, I got this, I got, I've got electricity, I've got gas, I've got insurance, I've got a mortgage, and I've got a car note, and I've got Mardi Gras.
So
in my budget,
I'll stop paying my bills so I can take care of my Mardi Gras bill.
You got to pay those first,
right?
Oh, wait.
Pay
In my
Mardi Gras
budget,
bill.
I know that every month I need to have, say, $75 for whether it be crew dues, whether it be buying random throws, whether it be crew functions.
Yeah, I got
Right.
smart and bought all year instead of at the last second because, riding two parades, and I don't throw a lot of plastic, so it gets pricey.
Absolutely, yeah, I do as well. Because like I ride in one, and then I've been riding in Okeanos for 40 years. But you kind of think about those things, and going through the progression. 40 years ago, only threw to cute girls, and then and then you were like throwing to your buddies, and then you're throwing to then it goes now. Now I look for kids, I look for older people that just enjoy the things.
Yeah.
When you throw something to them and their eyes light up, that makes your day. So that has been kind of the progression as time goes on.
Old lady in a wheelchair, my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
I'll always throw them something because they light up. They really do, and it could be nothing.
Right.
A pair of beads, but you spotted them, got them something there.
Yeah, they
They're
could
just
look
so
almost
happy about
Yeah,
it.
they could look almost halfway asleep, and they catch that, whether it be a bead, a teddy bear, or whatever. You see them light up, and they'll wave to
Thank
you.
you, thank
or-
you. Yeah, and it's riding with the one thing I have noticed, and when I first started to ride in the 70s and 80s, is that the doubloons were so popular then, and your uncle or your buddy's dad collected doubloons. I'm seeing more doubloons in the last 5 years. Doubloons have just skyrocketed in popularity. For me I get begged for doubloons. I'm like, the people are like pigeons. They coming out,
Yeah.
please, and then they're getting their doubloons, getting their collections going, and I'm starting to see that revive, and even in the
I'm
younger
glad.
kids.
I really am glad because my grandmother's a collector, my dad was a collector, I'm a collector, he's a collector. But as a little kid, I'd wait for the parade to end, and I'm trained to go down the route and pick up every doubloon.
Yeah, every
Couple blocks.
parade, after the parade,
I disappear.
he disappears, and like sometimes it's like, like on days when it's cold, like today, it's like, man, I just want to go get in the heater, and he's gone for 30 minutes, pacing up and down, and he'll come back and be like, look at all these
You're
doubloons.
gonna get that
Like,
one,
Yeah, we still teach like when people come in from out of town, they're like, they go to pick up a balloon, like, no, step on it first. What do you mean?
Oh, they can't have road rash.
Don't just stick your hand in there. Just be careful.
But you guys have been doing a nice set of doubloons for the past several years, at least.
Absolutely,
And,
Bill
yeah.
Katsoulis and Peter Daugherty have really taken that on and really put out a set. And one of the things, and
This
if y'all are
beautiful
collectors,
multi
it'll
you did the 2-inch.
for the 75-year
really
anniversary.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It really is pretty. It's in the balloon collectors drives it crazy because we got so many. They're like, "Oh my God, do you have this one?" So I'm in the beginning of the parade, so I always make sure to tell them what float Bill's on, and I say he has all of them, so they're all going. Why did you tell him I have all? I don't have.
I made one for my dad this year.
Oh, awesome! That's
Yeah,
great.
we love y'all's set. You know, I mean, the fact that it's not just like a purple, green, and gold, which there's nothing wrong with that, but like
Yeah.
y'all always have that beautiful rainbow of colors. You know, I mean,
Right? Yeah.
So, we've been getting the sets like this, but how are these thrown? Are these individual for floats?
But
or
it depends on,
just
like, the rider packs will have your purple, green, and gold in them. The hippocampus has its own, and then there's a couple of floats that have a signature, and the captain has his. So they're thrown from individual floats. No one throws the packs with the heavies in it because you'd be throwing off literally
Yeah.
a good
right?
bit of
Yeah,
money.
it's like $10 a
$50
yeah.
yeah. Well, not just the weight, but you're throwing off a lot of money. But
Yeah,
so-
I mean it's like $10 worth of
Yeah.
worth of.
well, and some of the
balloons
heavies,
sometimes,
some of the ones like the ceramic and others are,
Yeah, or
but,
even more.
yeah, so they are, some of the heavies are just, commemorative, and if some guys make up bags and hand those off, but a lot of them, you rarely see on the route. But the purple, green, and gold, the black, the silvers, those will all be on the route, just on different floats.
Yeah, I didn't know if every rider had access to all of them.
Every ride, well, if the hippocampus will only be thrown from the hippocampus float. The hippocampus float also has the crawfish trays. And the funny part about it, I was telling you about the guy that came in from Texas that said I suckered him in and brainwashed him. He's an officer in the parade, like I said, but he comes in from Argyle, Texas, and so right above Dallas. And he was at a board meeting that he has to fly into when he comes in town. But he's like, we need something signature. We need, this one has, Muses has the shoe. This one has this. We need something signature. So what we did back then is he said, we need crawfish trays. I'm like, here's a guy from Argyle, Texas telling me we need crawfish trays. You're crazy. They're really expensive. We had them made in the States, and they're a really nice item. And, throughout the years, other people have made different trays or, but this crawfish tray is, it is usable. I mean, I can't tell you how many crawfish bowls. That's all I have now, Okeanos trays, because, I throw them. But that has become a huge item. And the funny part about it is my favorite food is crawfish. I boil crawfish all the time. I didn't come up with the idea.
Yeah.
Here's this guy in Argyle, Texas that said, why don't we do crawfish trays? So,
No, these are useful. They're nice and deep, and
right.
you can use them. All the other trays, there's 3 or 4 other crews. They're all more.
It's like a serving
like,
platter.
yeah, right.
And it's
I'll still use them as a crawfish tray, but I can make a bigger mound.
exactly. You need a bigger mound. But that has been great. And we were the first ones to come out with crawfish trays with basically a crawfish tray use. And the idea was, like I said, from Dow Straubmuller in Argyle, Texas.
Yeah.
So it's give credit what credit's due. But it's been a big hit, and people. Oh, please, crawfish tray, please, crawfish tray. And obviously, at the cost they are, you don't buy like 20 of them.
Yeah.
You might buy a couple dozen, but so you're just kind of like sparingly handing it out.
Right,
It is,
yeah.
it is our coconut. It is our our shoe, but we hand off the crawfish trays throughout. It's a fun thing.
I hear y'all do a different color every year.
Different color every year, and so I think we were like on our 15th year. So we have gone through. I think last year was wine colored. So we have gone through the gambit, and this year
I have a few. I definitely don't have 15 different colors. So.
well, and then again, that's in the collective series. There are the captain has his own tray, the hippocampus has his own tray, and then the crew is throwing celebrate 75.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
you got and people. I don't know how and y'all are doubloon collectors, y'all know, but
Yeah.
they know when you go in the street. They're like, no, do you have this one? Do you have that one? I
Yeah.
mean, they know what's in the repertoire and what needs to come because
Yeah.
they all ask.
Well, we have groups of, Facebook guys or whatever, and between us, we have somebody that rides and everything. So word gets out pretty.
Word gets
quickly.
out. They know it's coming.
Well, I'm trying to think. Was it listed? Is it listed as to the color in the Arthur Hardy guide?
I read it, but I can't remember if that's listed. I think it is. I think I remember one year was teal and one year was
Yeah.
wine colored. So usually, it's listed of what we have. but every year, like I said, if you can actually on the outside of the container that's over there is one of every color.
Wow.
So you could take a look at those and
Yeah.
see that we've all the years and colors, and now we're kind of getting into some off colors because we've had
Yeah, right. Yeah. How many years can you have
we used
green?
the 8-color
Yeah.
crayon box,
Right,
so now
yeah.
we got to expand out a
Yeah,
little.
you're
bit.
in the 64 color now.
Yeah, we're in
you
a
know?
64 color. We need magenta. Okay, so it's one of those. But yeah, it's been fun actually. This color, with our 75th year is reflected of our king's heritage, and so he put him in this. I think it's a Swedish blue, or so he's done that. So that's been fun, and we just crowned our queen last weekend. We had our ball. And like I said, I have been affiliated with the club for 40 years, but in those 40 years, what I did not know is that the captain assigned the queen until I think 1979. After 1979, we went to a lottery pick. So there's
Okay.
boxes of roses that go out, and I've been in a parade 40 years. My daughter hasn't been queen, even though she was a maid. My sisters. Cousins. I finally had one cousin that actually was queen, but it's totally by lottery. So we'll put out 4, 8, whatever amount of number of maids we have. We put out a box of flowers. They come sealed, taped, identical boxes. And at one part in the ball, we leave it up to what they call kismet, and they go up and they put the box up. They open them up. They play Luck Be a Lady Tonight, and when they open the box, one of those maids. And it could be somebody with no affiliation, somebody that's been in the club for 50 years, no matter what, whoever was lucky enough to go pick by lot. So they draw in advance, and they go pick the box. Whoever has the rose, when they uncover it, the one rose that's a different color, she's queen.
Okay.
So we pick it, and it's it's been a special tradition since, like I said, 1980, that the queen is chosen. We brought back queens for the last 75 years. We said, any queen, please come back to the ball. We called them out. I think we had 12 participate, and I think we're going to have more that come and ride. But they were all telling their stories about how they were, you walk up and you just get, you have a one in whatever shot of how many maids there are to be picked queen. So that's a little.
Is it a similar process for the king?
No, the king has gone through some different generations. There used to be a king's party, and then that was drawn at the king's party. And that's how I basically became king way back when. I was king in 99 or 2000. So, and then it went now to basically, an assignment. Guys that want to be king kind of, vie for it and say, hey, I'd like to be king. And then, the captain usually assigns whoever, he thinks is worthy or been around the longest to be king.
Oh, okay. It's a different process.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So you'd mentioned earlier that y'all initially started here in the Bywater with your route. What year was it that y'all moved over to the St. Charles
49,
route?
the parade started in 49. We rolled in 50, and I think we rolled the St. Claude route until the 60s. And then, we started to switch it a little bit more, and we always ended at the auditorium. And then for a period of years in the 60s and 70s, we actually had the Carrollton route. We followed Carrollton.
Okay.
And then we did that for a while. Then we switched to Napoleon, and we went down coming from Claiborne, kind of gets to, more of where Rex came from. We come
Right.
from Claiborne, go up Napoleon towards the river, or down Napoleon towards the river, and then we would go on the uptown route from there. And we did that for a number of years. When Venus bowed out, we were the next in line seniority-wise, and we took over the Venus's spot on the Sunday, the first parade of the Sunday before Mardi Gras. And that's when I think that route started, and that's when we did Napoleon to St. Charles. I think that was in the 80s, and probably about, I think it's probably been 99 or 2000, probably about 2010, we switched to Jefferson and Magazine.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've been through different parts of the city, like as I remember it, 5 different routes. Right.
Very well traveled, but you got to be pretty content with your current route.
Oh, absolutely love it. It was definitely not as when they took away the beginning of the route with the shortage of police, it was definitely an impact because you got to enjoy that Jefferson and Magazine is just like I said. That's a special part of the route, and it's great.
I thought it was funny that year when they were saying, "Oh, you can't throw till you get on St. Charles," and slowly, it was trickling back several blocks every day.
Right.
So by the time Sunday come around, They were saying don't throw, but it was loaded with people there.
Yeah,
How do you
you
not
know,
do anything?
when you're riding and you see people and they're just sitting there and you feel terrible, like they say, don't throw, don't throw, and you're like, oh, I really want to give these people something.
Yeah.
So I mean, and thank God that's the spirit of New Orleans, because people, you just can't wait to throw somebody something off the float. I mean, it's
I got all this stuff.
and I want to give it away. I want to give it to somebody. So right.
But yeah, so you're back to your full Jefferson.
We're back to
route.
our full route, Jefferson and Magazine, up to Napoleon to St. Charles all the way down to Canal. That end of the Canal route, I'm pretty sure is, instead of going up Canal and then down
back
Canal,
down, yeah.
we just go down Canal and then turn onto Voyagers.
Yeah.
Onto Chapatoulas to Voyagers.
I know usually y'all have Vince Vance riding with y'all is.
Vince Vance has been something that Vince actually grew up in the neighborhood. He knew my dad. He knew a bunch of the guys, and he wanted to be a part of Okeanos, and he has been probably for about 15 years. And he had his own. If you're a New Orleans icon, you have your own paper mache head that you bring down.
Right.
So he actually brought that down, and he's got a nephew that packs his float up, and they have a great time, and they ride. And if you ride with Vince, it's a special experience. He's singing and dancing the whole time, so it's he makes it fun, and the people that love to ride his float.
I swear he is timeless. Like, he has the same energy since I was a little kid.
Absolutely, absolutely, and he doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
He really doesn't. He comes down and he's ready to go. He's got his hair up, and
single-handedly put a hole in the ozone layer with that hairdo.
Absolutely, there's a lot of hairspray in that thing, but he definitely loves to party. He loves New Orleans.
Yeah, I get a smile when I see that head turning onto St. Charles up ahead.
Yeah, it's we actually got back down to the den, and the head came off, so he's been re-glued on. He's back up on the float, so he's all signed up for this year and ready to go.
Is he the only celebrity that's ever ridden with y'all, or
going back, I really don't remember too many celebrities that rode that people wanted them to know they were riding, but he's one of the few that has been kind of like a dedicated grand marshal for the last 15 years. Absolutely.
It's been that long he's been riding?
I could say, I know it's been a while. It was over 10. It's definitely over 10.
so?
Well, we know you have a lot of stuff going on today with your...
No, look, I appreciate y'all coming down. I hope y'all enjoy the parade. Come see us. We'll be out there on that Sunday morning, and wake up with Okeanos. Be out there and be ready for the Okeanos Mid-City Toth Bacchus Marathon of Parades. It's a
fun day of parade.
It is a fun day,
and y'all are a grand slam for a start. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, but then look, I get off the float. I get out of my costume and go straight on over to the route and watch the rest of the parade. So it's if you're one of those Mardi Gras guys, you can't get enough. So it only happens once a year. You got to enjoy it while it's there.
Right. So where's the best places that people can follow the crew?
You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. If you wanted to be a part of it, our website, crewofokeanos.org, is on the it's on the web. You can get on it. It'll list all of our events. It'll list our route. It'll list a countdown to how long before the parade, and it'll also kind of tell you if you want to be a crew member. It'll show you how to join. So crewofokeanos.org.
Okay.
It has a gallery, photos, and you can kind of see a little snapshot of what we're all about.
Okay.
Well, I hope you have a great ride. And,
I appreciate it.
Hail Okeanos.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. All right. We're here with Mr. Noodle, a.k.a. Goldberg, one of the float lieutenants here with the crew of Okeanos.
How are you? Good to be here.
Yeah.
It's
So
always fun for us to walk around these and see like how the parades come together, but sometimes we meet characters like yourself.
yeah, you were telling us an interesting story about how you got introduced into the crew and then addicted to the drug that we call Mardi Gras.
To say the least, yeah. So our friends are from down here. I'm from New Jersey originally. We live in Alabama now, and they invited us to ride with them. And my wife and my mother-in-law both said absolutely. And I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about Mardi Gras. The only thing I knew about parades was like the Macy's Day Parade, and I had no interest.
I don't blame you.
And I said, I don't really want to go. And then I found out how much my wife was spending without telling me, and I'm like, I can't believe we're spending all that just to throw. We're literally throwing money away.
Yeah.
And then, so we came down here and we went to see Iris first as my first parade. And they said, we're going to go see a parade first. And I thought, it's bad enough I have to ride in a parade. Now I have to go watch a parade. How good does that be?
Yeah.
And I will never forget, the first float went by and somebody threw me a bead. And it's, one of those cheap little plastic beads. Mm-hmm. And I was screaming like a little schoolgirl. I was like, oh my God! And then every float that went by, I was screaming. And then we got on the float the next day to ride. And within 5 minutes, I looked back at my friend Karen, who was the one who got me involved. And I was like, any amount of money you need next year, I will spend. And as soon as I said, this is the best day of my life. And as soon as we got off the float, I said, I think I could fill one of these next year. And so the next year I brought 16 people with me. And then the crew said, well, if we give you your own float, will you fill it up every year? And I said, absolutely. So I bring down 30 people. Now I fill up my float and half of another float.
Wow.
And I do it a little differently. I buy everything for everyone to throw. I don't like the idea. For me, I just didn't like the idea like, this is my stuff, this is your stuff. I just buy everything and I say, throw it all. Whatever you have, just throw. Yeah. And we sort of refined it over the years where now we don't throw any plastic. I just bought 30,000 glass beads that we have on our float, and I got 2,500 footballs and, all the things that people seem to like. We have those tumblers. I made those whiskey glasses.
Yeah, you were showing us these. Yeah, there's a beautiful piece.
So we have shot glasses with our logo and whiskey glasses and tumblers. So we try to come up with a lot of fun stuff that people will actually want to keep. And like those crawfish trays, I have hundreds of them on my float. Just because I like giving that stuff, the good stuff away. I like, nobody remembers the 10-cent bead, but they'll remember the crawfish tray or the glass or whatever.
I love the turn of Mardi Gras going to more sustainable and reusable throws.
Yeah,
where,
for sure.
It's like, God bless beads and all, but, to have something to where it's like, hey, on Tuesday I'm boiling some crawfish. Hey, I've got a crawfish tray here,
Sure.
Hey, I'm I'm gonna have me a cocktail to relax tonight. I've got a
Exactly.
The things that we really look for to catch are like the personalized throws, like the Musa shoes, the sustainable throws, things like the crawfish trays, and cups, and things like that, and then doubloons. That it's it's much more enjoyable to have things that we can that, like you said, you can open up your cabinet and pull it out and use it, as opposed to, hey, there's that sack of beads over there in the corner that
that's it, right. I have a bag of beads from other crews, and that's says Orpheus or Hermes or whatever, and you're like, well, there's nothing I can really do with that bead the next year. But the glass beads,
I pull the little emblems off, and that's what decorates my Christmas tree. I mean, it looks like an ornament until you look at
absolutely.
it. And not just change the color of the lights on the 6th, and then it's a Mardi Gras tree. But plus it's the old joke, that New Orleans is sinking because everybody has a ton of beads in their attic, so like
we have.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it as a rider where you throw a plastic bead. Somebody might catch it, but it's not a. Even though it honestly changed your path, but I mean, most people here have so many generic plastic beads that you catch it, but who cares?
Right, that's what I was saying to you. I mean, we found that I would throw beads to somebody and they would literally step out of the way.
Right. Yeah.
Or if it falls on the ground, they're just like, I don't want
You gotta
that.
visit it. Oop, you already
So-
photobombed. You got it.
Yeah.
That was Karen. She was the one that got me involved. So, yeah. So, I mean, I don't like the plastic. To me is just a waste.
Yeah.
So, and I totally agree with you. It's horrible for the environment. So, the glass, and everyone seems to really, now more than ever, it seems like the last couple of years, I've seen people like just holding up signs, glass beads, glass beads, glass
Yeah.
beads. So,
When you, I don't know how long you've been riding, but like, you go through that initial route. Once you get to the interstate or so, a lot of that's tourists. They like the plastic. They'll take it.
Yeah.
But like the locals, up until that point, they don't really want it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Going down St. Charles in the Garden District, it's glass. It's, crawfish trays. I have the riding crops, the lieutenant riding crops.
Yeah.
We've got, the glasses. Like you take out those glasses and you hold them up and people just freak out.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, this is like I said, this is a beautiful piece of artwork.
What float number is yours, by the
Our
way?
float number's 18.
All right,
we-
I'm
All right.
I'll
Yeah.
Big
be there
seal on the
I'll
front.
be there on the first corner, and I'll cheers you from
Awesome.
the sideline.
Excellent. I'll have this. I'll give you the. I'll have the shot glasses for you too.
So we're on that first corner when you take the turn on the St. Charles.
Okay.
You'll see a throne with some idiot sitting in it. That's our group. we built this big wooden throne, and
That's
it's
fantastic.
been there for years and years. We've been at the same spot since I say about 5th grade around there.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing. Now I meet people from down here who, every year they go since they were little kids, and their fathers rode, and now they ride, and it's really extraordinary. I mean, it's unlike anything else I've ever done before, and I try to tell. I think I was telling you this before. I try to explain it to people that are going to ride that have never ridden before, and I say it's one of the. I say it'll be one of the 3 best experiences you've ever had in your life.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm underselling it. And sure enough, as the ride goes, people they just say to me, it was so much better than what you even said. Like I was expecting amazing. It was even better than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's you're a rock star for hours.
Yeah.
And I was saying, it's like, there's something really great about connecting with somebody, throwing them a bead or throwing them a football or a glass or whatever, and just seeing them light up. And little kids especially, we have those pails, the beach buckets and the shovels, and you get a little kid that, or even like a stuffed animal, and they just that smile.
Yeah, you just made that kid's
infectious,
day,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's really infectious. You're all jazzed up, like, what else can I do? And I've tried to tell all my people, I bought enough. I calculate, I'm like, everyone can throw 10 throws per minute for 4 hours straight. I'm like, so there's no excuse. Throw to every single person. Don't
Right,
be picky.
yeah.
My wife one year came home with all these glass beads, and she said, well, I didn't think anybody was worthy of the glass beads. And I said, well, you can't throw anything then. Like, you just throw to everybody, right? And,
Yeah, you didn't buy them to collect them
exactly
yourself.
right.
You bought them to
Exactly.
to give to
Right.
the faithful.
Exactly. It's nothing like seeing somebody like the next day who has like a glass of yours or an Okeanos bead. You're like, hey, that's
Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
That's
I do
awesome.
that. Yeah, right.
So, yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. So
cool. I hope you have a blast of a ride and
Thank you.
no
Thank
R
you. Me
word,
too.
No R word for the day.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had
Yeah.
We've had pretty amazing.
we only
weather.
want it spelled a different way. REIGN.
Right. Exactly. So, anyway, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you
It's
so
really
much.
Awesome.
Yeah. All hail Okeanos.
Hail Okeanos.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. We are here with Bill Katsoulis with the crew of Okeanos. Tell us a little bit about your role with the crew.
Well, I do a little bit of everything. I started with the crew in about 3 years before Katrina, and my great uncle was in the organization in 1950,
Okay.
and he rode in Toth and Okeanos, and then my mother was a maid in 1963. So we lived in Florida. My mother grew up in the Irish Channel, and so she was very involved with Mardi Gras. My father was from the French Quarter. This was a big part of their lives. with my uncle, my great uncle, riding the parades, and it's a big family deal. And my mother was a maid in '63, so when I was old enough and had a job and could make a little money, I said, I want to ride in a parade. So she called the captain and got me his phone number, and I called Nick LaPera and said I'd like to join the club, and I did. And I rode in the parade in my uncle's spot, which was the last place on the sidewalk side.
Okay.
That was we were the sidewalk side, so that was where I rode the first year. I had two of my buddies ride with me, and it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So the next year I had my own float and 12 more buddies.
That seems like a running theme in this.
Right, yeah.
And I still have we still have the same float that I rode on as a lieutenant the first time. Another past king has it now. And then the following year, I had two floats in the parade, and then Katrina came and messed everything up. We were only rolling with about 12 floats at that time. And I had a bunch of friends in Canada who wanted to come support the city, right after Katrina. We got to roll right after Katrina, so it was beautiful and clean and messed up.
Yeah.
And we made a lot of jokes about people coming into town saying, are we going to be able to ride, Bill? Are we going to have a place to stay? I said, oh, yeah, everything's just going to be perfect. And so when they got into town that Friday, they're like, I don't know how you got here. But everything we saw on the way in was tore slap up.
Yeah.
But it was still just an absolute fantastic ride. But my friends from Canada bought a whole float, and they were interviewed on TV and radio because they came to support our country during that difficult time, as well as our parade in the city, And so then we go along. My daughter was queen in 2008, and that kind of solidified my role in the organization.
Yeah.
And I was a lieutenant, and then I became a officer in 2011, and just kept waiting for my time that I could be king because of my job. And so I was king in 2022.
Okay.
I rode in Hermes' 75th anniversary and stole a bunch of ideas from them how we're going to stack our beads and do things that we're doing today. Literally today, we're loading beads the way Hermes loads their beads and changed our floats up. So I've been pretty involved. My youngest daughter was a maid last year and a maid this year. I'd like to see her be queen, obviously. And since it's done by lottery, there's...
Right.
The captain's daughter was a maid for 3 years, and she never became queen.
Right. Yeah, that's what he was telling us.
A girl who'd never been in our parade is queen this year. She joined the crew and signed up to be a maid, and she's our queen, and it's completely random. And so that's one of the great things about it. So I'm pretty involved, and it's a work of love. I live in Central Florida, so I'm here. I've been here 3 weekends in a row. I do a lot of business in the city and have for 20 years, almost 25 years. And so it's a great family organization is the way I see it. I can go be a number in Bacchus. I could be a number in Endymion, or I can ride in pretty much any club I wanted to.
Right.
But this is my home. This is,
It's, you can tell just, by the folks who are here that, everybody's, do like a better word, everybody's joshing each other like you pick on your brother or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, that's right. It is.
And it is a happy family.
Well, Lonnie's son, the captain's son is here working.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lonnie mentioned that his father was integral in this crew for many years, and he's the one that actually So a lot of Mardi Gras people know that we have black sheep in this organization, and I'm the head black sheep, the blackest of the sheep, because of Lonnie's dad. We were loading our float, and we kind of do stuff outside of the norm for some people. When we do our float theme, we figure out what it is, and we buy throws to match it really good. One year we had coconut ukuleles, and because we were the Hawaii float, so we all got laid. before the parade.
Wow, that
literally.
usually doesn't happen till after.
Usually that's Druids, right? That's usually Druids. But Okeanos, we did a little different. We got lays, and we had lays on, and straw hats, and we had coconut ukuleles that are very famous in our kind of circles. And when we were the Cinco de Mayo float, I'm gonna be a little politically incorrect. Mardi Gras tends to do that.
It happens.
It happens. A buddy of mine, we were the Cinco de Mayo float, and so I like a full face mask. I like the old school stuff.
Yeah.
And our float is known to have just the old school masks. So I put a big Fu Manchu mustache on there, on each one of them with some felt, and we had sombreros and we had some nice beads. And I went online and found 500 mini pinatas. So we were throwing pinatas off the float and pinto beans and tortillas and just having a big time of it, And so we have overloaded our float usually. We're walking down the bead rack in the middle and stuff. Like most organizations do, you stand on your beads until basically you get to St. Charles Avenue, you finally get to the floor,
Yeah.
And so, this was back before we had run flat tires and so the tires were low and he's like, I can't tell you the expletive he used, but I probably can, but I'm not going to. But he said, don't put any more GD air in those tires. They're going to pop. You guys are the black sheep, all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's right. Goddamn, no, just. And so we took that as a badge of honor in this endeavor that we have. This great Mardi Gras thing. So it's kind of gotten to know. And all the people on the NOLO.com forum, they know we do different things on the black sheep float, and our crawfish trays are now emblazoned with the black sheep. I grew up watching Bacchus and being enthralled with the float lieutenant doubloons that are black, and so nice. So I said, hey, this is back when I first started. Hey, I want to throw black doubloons. You can't. So, why not? Well, how would that work? I'm like, well, why can't we just get them anodized black? Purple, green, gold, black. Well, okay. So that's how the black doubloons came about. A homage back to Bacchus. And so that's one of those little things. So then I had another lieutenant that wanted a blue one. And then we had another lieutenant. And so we started, instead of having Okeanos having 3 doubloons, purple, green, and gold, now we have silver, purple, green, gold, black, blue, copper, wine-colored. And so it turns into, and then we started throwing 10 gauge instead of the normal 15 or 16 gauge, big thick doubloons. Arthur already said there's some of the nice doubloons in Carnival because we do throw them thick.
It's been consistent for many years.
There's been at least 10 years we've been throwing 10 gauge doubloons, and they just, for me, just personally, growing up at parades, when the balloons hit the ground, there's no other sound like it in the world.
Right.
It doesn't. The sound of a ding, 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 ding. There's no. It's a sound unique to Carnival. So I love just throwing handfuls up in the air. I don't care if anybody gets them or not. To be honest with you, if I hear that sound from my float, it's making my music, and it's just great.
I always just knew as a kid, when that sound happened, my dad was shoving me in that direction. Like, go get one.
And when people come to the city for the first time and participate in this thing that we love so much, I have to explain to them, do not reach down to pick up a doubloon. Why? Well, just you'll understand. And then when they see somebody put their foot on one, they get it. And so it's just that's kind of how all this stuff kind of evolves. We got a guy from Dallas. Did they tell you about the crawfish trays?
Yeah.
He and I joined the same time, so he came up with that, and they've been very popular. When I was king, so back to the black doubloons. So the black doubloons very important to me and my group. So we had 24 guys on the 22 rider float, and one of us became king, Mike Bierman. And he had his family on a float the next year and a bunch of his buddies. And he comes up and says, Bill, now, I love being on your float. But is it going to hurt your feelings if I go start another float? And for a guy that's trying to help build a parade, absolutely not. Mike, go.
Yeah, right.
So now he's the black sheep too. Now we've got 44 to 50 people throwing black doubloons and crawfish trays that are emblazoned with the black sheep, and so then another guy tries to join my float, and it's full, and we get enough people to make a third float. So there's 3 black sheep floats. We have about 1,500 crawfish trays.
Wow.
That makes another product for us to give to the people in New Orleans for collectibles. So you have the hippocampus, which is our new float. You got the black sheep, and you got the 75th anniversary, and the king has his own crawfish trays, and the captain. So now instead of just having one,
y'all have 4 or 5 of them now.
5 or 6, yeah. So when I became king, it was only apropos to have a black king's doubloon. I think I was the first and only king to ever have a black doubloon in Mardi Gras. So that's kind of cool, you know. And I only had 1,500 made, and I had 1,500 silver and stuff like that. So, and crawfish tray, first crawfish tray for a king, I guess. And I signed them 1 through 150. And I didn't throw a single thing. I'm a purist. I don't think the king or queen should throw in Mardi Gras. I think it's beneath them. I think their honor and their royalty comes from that's their throne.
Waving
waving the scepter
and waving their scepter
and being there. And so we're going to let our queen do a little bit of that this year, and the king, it's up to him what he does. But I didn't throw a single thing. I had the 2 best float attendants on my float, Jerry Market from Orpheus and John Clancy.
All right.
On the Nutri-Ground side, because they know all our people. They know the people in the forum and the regular Mardi Gras people, so they could say, "Hey, Bill, make sure they get a crawfish tray."
Yeah.
And some of them were signed to specific people and things like that. So, it's
So you just were up there giving orders, like.
Well, of course I
Grace
was.
That's what kings do.
Jerry, I'm out of crown.
Yeah.
Turn the ball a little. I'm a Freemason too, so the past Grand Master of Louisiana gave me a bottle of Crown Reserve and said, "Your Highness, congratulations. Use this as you see fit."
Right.
Well, what better way to use a bottle of Crown Reserve than on St. Charles Avenue out of my chalice?
Yeah.
So so that was it. It was so cool to have this little walk into the float, and Jerry's on my right walking with me with a bag of stuff, and this man got his little kid on his shoulder, just sitting there, a little baby, probably 4 years old. "There's the king, son. There's the king." And I got very verklempt and tight, in my heart. Just like, that's me. That's me 55 years ago at Okeanos, seeing the king walk by.
Right.
And so I stopped and said, "Jerry, come here." And that's the only thing I handed to anyone was that little boy in his dad's shoulders, and he'll remember that the rest of his life. 1966, I was barely a year old, and I got this from my uncle. It was a 1966 Okeanos silver. So a couple years ago, about 10 years ago, I had it put on a loop, and January 6th, this goes on my chain, and on Ash Wednesday, it goes back in my box for the year.
Yeah.
And when I was coronated as the king, I had this on, and my mother gave me a 1965 ball favor from Okeanos when I was little, and that was hanging there, underneath my costume at my ball. And then she came back there and handed me another one with LXXII on the back that was hanging there. So there was 3 of these things hanging together from my history from 1965, man, the year of my birth. And when my daughter was born, she was here her first year of Mardi Gras, and I remember taking her to the float on Thursday night, and I got her first bead she ever got at a parade. And I have pictures of her standing behind a barricade. She couldn't even reach the top of the barricade like this, wanting beads. And she's been here for every Mardi Gras since she was, she's only missed 2 years. And her sister, who's 33 now, they bring their kids. And I had my grandson on my float as the king. So it's just a
it's a family legacy.
It's a family legacy.
Doesn't sound like you would trade any of those moments for anything else in the world.
No, man.
And
How do you do that
I can
stuff,
see
man?
how those moments.
There's Bacchus guys that I know that my greatest thrill is to go up to the float, and the first thing we do every time is shake hands.
Yeah.
Mike,
Right.
Bill, how
Yeah.
you doing? How was your ride? You know, don't you know? And Craig from KOE, first thing he wants to do is bust you up with throws. It's
Right, right,
you know,
yeah.
Craig, just shake my hand, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
You shake hands and you talk and you follow the float till it stops, and you get to have your moment with these guys who just earlier in the day I did what they're doing, and I understand their feelings and their things, and they understand where I'm coming from too.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, hey, this is not just titties and beer and, you know,
Right.
if you want that, you can get that here. But if you want to really enjoy your family and you want to have a legacy and you want to feel like the Beatles did when they came across the pond to New York City, with
Right. Yeah.
that's
See
you know
your people.
you see you're on that float. They have no idea who you are, but you are treated like a rock star.
Yeah. I mean, there's a sea of humanity there
They're-
that
and-
are all there to see, you.
And it is absolutely not political, not race. It doesn't matter what your religion is. None of that matters here.
Yeah.
During a parade, it does not matter race, color, creed. It truly is e pluribus unum, from many one.
Yeah.
We are one group of people celebrating, patriots, enjoying our country, the freedom that our armed forces give us. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this lightly.
Yeah. It's
You can't do this in communist China. You
No.
can't do this in Cuba. You can't do this
They
anywhere else
have
on
a
the planet.
whole different kind of parade over there.
yeah.
Yes, they do.
Marching in
Yes, they
unison
do.
sort
Yes,
of
they
parade.
do.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. I've lived in New Orleans, Metairie, or Mobile my whole life. I've always been in a parade town. So for me, it's a little second nature. But I got to imagine people coming from out of town, seeing what we do, are like, these people are nuts. I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, did Lonnie mention the fact that a lot of our members are from Texas?
Oh, yeah.
Almost
You
half.
said 20.
Yeah, he said that y'all have representation from
states.
basically
Hawaii.
half of the United States.
Well, the Hippocampus, our new float, 50 riders, he brings 50 and 20 in the past 2 years. So 70 people from Texas just on 2 floats.
Wow.
And so some of our officers are from Texas. We have Joanne Fisher from Fisher's Jewelry is on our board. And she's an officer. She handles a lot of the other stuff. And it is a microcosm of the country
Yeah.
that we all come here. And you're right. People come from other places and
Yeah, they
say,
have to think we're
"Wait,
crazy."
you're going to dinner on a bus with a police escort."
Yeah.
Yeah. How else
Yeah,
do you
wait.
expect to get to Metairie and back?
Yeah.
Before Endymion, we got to go. So how do you do that? When my daughter was queen, I had her police escorted to Jackson and St. Charles from the airport because we were there waiting for her, and people are like, how do you do that? Well, you just pick up the phone. It's New Orleans.
Right.
It's part of our culture that we do.
And
You know.
I mean, we are the biggest little city in the world.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just this morning, I run into Greg at the Carrollton Den. And Taylor's like, "Oh, that's so and so's grandfather. He knows his grandson." I mean, we're a small town.
Hey,
Yeah.
well,
We're
I
all
was
connected.
I was
so
in Plush
close.
Appeal,
Yeah.
Plush Appeal, 2 weeks ago. Brought all my luggage over so I wouldn't have to fly with it to the ball. So we drive over. I do a little business here in town. Drop my luggage off here at the den, the ball gowns and all that. Go to Plush Appeal and get me a little fix,
Yeah.
And my daughter's riding in 2 parades this year, so it's a little expensive, but it's worth it. And I walk out, and Sean Gotro's out there on the sidewalk smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, "Hey, Sean." He's like, "Hey, Bill." It's like I hadn't seen him in a year. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's like just there's no telling who you're going to walk
Yeah.
into. Anywhere in town, you could walk. You can run into the captain of Rex,
Yeah.
and
Well,
know.
my friends used to joke with me when we would go anywhere. They'd almost put a quota on me as to how many different people I would know. Whether it be along the parade route or, at the mall or wherever we were going. And, laughingly, I'd always end up meeting the quota just because, again, it's such a small town to where it'd be like, like he was saying, "Oh, that's so-and-so's grandpa." Oh, that's so and so.
Well, what about at a parade?
Yeah.
You know, if you're walking down, that's another joy that I get is just walking down St. Charles Avenue or Tchoupitoulas or somewhere prior to a parade or in between parades, and you know, invariably you know where some people are going to be, so you go to see if they're around. And on the way there, you run into other people who are walking the opposite way, doing the same thing you are. When I was king and when I got in, I went to the Windsor Court and walked down, and there's, you know, Rob Ivy, and there's, you know, Phil James was still alive at the time, and Jeff Sturkey, all standing there. And it was like, well, what's up, man? You know, and you see all these people that you might not have seen for 2 or 3 years because they didn't come last year, or you weren't here the year before, or whatever, and they're here from all over the country, not just from the city. But imagine, I got off the plane, and when I was king, got off the plane, I'm standing on the sidewalk waiting for some other people to get there so we can take the limo in. And one of the guys from the forum, Stefan, walked up behind me from Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know, he just walks up and gives me big hugs, like, what's up, king? And it's like, you know, this is a worldly thing. It's not just New Orleans. It's not just the southern states. There's people here from Minnesota, California, Texas, walking down the street together.
Yeah.
You know, that all know each other from this event. You know, wouldn't be like that at a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because it depends on whose team's playing.
Right. Yeah.
This doesn't matter whose parade's rolling or who's
he's
happening.
right. Like you say, I'll go walk down the street a block. Somebody's got to hear my name somewhere. Where you at, man? You know, it always happens. You know,
Yeah.
it never fails. And half the time I go walking down, and especially on y'all's day, I might not be in the best of shape on there. So we get there early, you know. So I'm like, what the hell was I going to do? You know, like, oh, well, I'm going to hang out here for a little while, you know.
Now, where do y'all watch the parades usually?
Right when you turn on to St. Charles.
Okay.
We're
Magazine,
at the first,
Napoleon and St. Charles?
well, we're at General Pershing in St. Charles.
Okay.
Yeah, we're right on the corner. You'll see a big wooden throne. We erect a throne that you can sit there and watch the parade.
I'm 19. I'm the streetcar float
Okay.
and first rider, so we'll be looking for you. And
Which side you right on?
sidewalk side.
Oh, perfect.
Sidewalk side.
Yeah.
First guy on the sidewalk side. So
right.
and
I'm gonna toast you with my new Okeanos.
yeah, those are good. Those are really nice. Todd Goldberg gave you one of those, I guess.
Yeah.
Goldberg, he's a special kind of special, and he's the Krewe Jew, Jeaux.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of names.
He does have a lot of names. He's our head sweeper today. I taught him how to use a broom for the first time in his life. It was tough. It took a while. You know, I'm not so sure he's that smart.
Yeah.
Goldberg, but he always does something special. The big mugs, travel mugs, things like that. And he's another kind of black sheep kind of guy. He's not the black sheep, but he does that kind of stuff for he brings his clients. He brings in a lot, 30 people.
Yeah, he told us that
Yeah.
first year he came, he got addicted to the drug we call Mardi Gras. And like the next year,
line in that
he brought
stuff.
in 20-something people.
Yeah.
He got next year he had 30-something
He got a
people.
brand new float all just in 1 year. I was like, come on, Goldberg.
Like, who is this guy?
Who's this guy? But he loves it. He drove in from Birmingham today to help load floats.
Yeah.
Mainly to load his own float because Goldberg's like that. But we locked it up where he couldn't get in it until everything else was done. And he's going to drive back tonight. So a dedication.
Yeah.
Dedication. And that's
Yeah, that's something that really speaks volumes with y'all.
Yeah.
Is the dedication, the pride with y'all's crew. The fact that, he didn't need to create a separate cup, but he went and did that.
He wanted people to enjoy.
He wanted people to enjoy and remember the legacy and the
And you notice it's not for a smoothie.
right. Yeah.
This is not designed to drink milk out of, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe a milk punch, but it's not. That's not for drinking sissy drinks right there. That's for
Right.
drinking the real stuff. So yeah, he did the shot glasses too. I mean, I guess if you got one in each hand, you're like,
Yeah,
Doing
right,
it right,
yeah.
like-
you're celebrating.
around, catch a
Yeah.
little
We're really celebrating Okeanos.
Yeah.
You know?
So we do try to do stuff like that and
Yeah.
and go outside the box with our throws, and we're always evolving. We're doing a lot of green stuff.
Yeah,
I've
I love-
never seen a crawfish tray online for sale.
Yeah,
I just saw one with a black doubloons the other day for the first time. So.
Yeah, I love the fact that y'all have, a lot of reusable, renewable throws. To where it's like, sure, I understand the importance of beads, but being a lifelong New Orleanian, I don't need any more beads. It's like every year I'm bringing a sack or two of beads.
I really only throw beads by the bag.
Yeah.
So, and I do a
bring
lot of
them,
hand strokes.
I bring a lot of them to the
St. Michael's.
to like St. Michael's, the Ark, Magnolia. I bring it to those different organizations that use it to give
Sure.
the special needs community.
And I'm sure we're going to go.
opportunities and-
I think Mardi Gras is going to evolve into less beads, more sustainable things.
Oh,
I don't want to ever
over the
see
last
it.
10 years,
I think
it's
that
become that.
I think somebody would rather have a nice glass bead, crystal, something big, nice,
Yeah.
than a handful of plastic beads. And we're getting there. We do a lot of glass, and but back when my great uncle was riding, it was Czechoslovakian cut beads.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where the white gloves came from, because they would cut their hands because it was cut glass, and people jump up, try to grab them and stuff like that. So I think we'll eventually get there, but the cost is not.
Yeah, it's not.
You get a lot
completely
more
prohibitive yet.
beads for a case of 10,
Yeah.
12 millimeter. We don't throw anything smaller than 12 millimeter here. We don't throw Rex. Nothing. I don't mean that in a derogatory way. We don't throw the little Rex beads, which
Right,
are
yeah.
great beads.
Yeah.
That's a great historical thing.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you mean. You're not throwing.
We're not throwing that. We're throwing bigger stuff, throwing less of it. And
Right.
We the way I look at it, and the way I try to operate with our floats and our guys, is if somebody catches it, they're not avoiding the catch,
Yeah.
and if it hits the ground, they're going to pick it up because it's something that's nice.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
there's
and
some
I'd
crews
much
can't say
rather
that.
see it to where,
Sure.
as a rider myself, I hate to see it when, it's like that hard-earned money that I spent buying that throw, to see someone step out of the way of the beads or catch it and just drop it down onto the ground.
It's just no sense.
It breaks my heart, So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm like you. I'd much rather see something to where someone's going to be like, ooh.
And don't get me wrong. I don't mind throwing a whole bag to somebody and then putting it in their bag and taking it and throwing it
Right,
next year.
right.
Yeah.
Because that's still recycling, and eventually
Yeah.
it's going to end up in a landfill eventually. But it's not going to be.
It's years off.
It's going to be a while down the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's still fun to catch a bag.
No, it is. Yeah. Oh, that guy.
I
and if I
no
catch a
use
bag,
for it whatsoever, but it's still fun to catch.
well, listen. If I catch a whole bag, it's
It
going
goes in the bag.
It's going in the bag. So I'm gonna throw next year, or give it to my. Whatever. It's not going to go in the garbage.
Right.
That's the only issue I have with this sounds like a critique, and it is and it's not. But Bacchus has the barrel beads and things like that. They can't be recycled because nobody else can throw them.
Right.
Right.
Nobody else should be throwing them. But they're machine beads, so they're pressed, and it's Bacchus barrel beads,
Yeah.
and so they're kind of stymied into. I'm not ever going to throw one, but if they were in a package and they were regular beads, I would throw them the next year and keep them out of the landfill.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see them.
I keep them and give them to my
like the truck floats and all.
Sure.
You see them, but that's about it.
my fraternal organization, the Freemasons. We do some things, and they're just tickled to have those beads. We give them to kids, and the kids come and they get them, and I'm giving them Bacchus beads.
Oh, okay.
And so they're getting recycled. They're taking them home and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think that everybody's going to get to. I mean, look at the products everybody has now.
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah,
Compared to when I was little,
Yeah. Seeing
it
all
was
the
a bead, a doubloon, and a really cheap cheap Chinese plush, which was just
Yeah.
like a Queepy doll.
Yeah.
And rubber cigars, a plastic cigar, plastic combs, giant toothbrushes.
The giant tooth.
Yeah.
I forgot
Right.
all
Yeah.
about
To
that.
see, you know.
What was
What are you going to do with it?
Goofy.
Yeah,
Well,
the
Admiral,
past-
what good is that ever going to do? Scratch your back maybe with that thing.
You know, over the
But,
past 10 years, we've seen it to where, you know, Mardi Gras is slowly moving more and more to great throws like y'all's crawfish trays, keepsakes to where it's either something that you wouldn't mind decorating your house with,
shoe.
like a Musa shoe or whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, anything
But,
hand
you know,
decorated, that's a treasure.
But
You
you know,
know,
to
one
me,
of those-
it's always great when
If you
I catch
hand-
something that I know 6 months, a year, 2 years down the line, I can open up my cabinet and it's still in there. You know.
How about plush Pontchartrain clown?
Yeah.
That's one of the best throws I've ever seen, and I've got two, but they're really hard to come by. And I think that's a plush animal that's going to be not in a landfill, not end
Right,
up
that's
in some
something that
dog's
you're
mouth.
gonna-
It's going to be a really nice plush, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if we decorated our crawfish trays, they might be up for a little while, but you take away their versatility and their use.
Yeah.
You know how many people roll dope?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
But
I
they
love
also
that.
have beignets on them. They also do. Desi Vega, a friend of mine, he sent me a picture of 5 different crawfish trays I've given him over the years at his crawfish bowl, and they're slap full of crawfish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean,
if I
the
leave
crawfish.
a parade route with this in a pocket full of doubloons, I've had a successful day. Like, I don't want
well,
anything
if
else.
you left
You know what I
a
mean?
parade route with that full of scotch,
Well, I've had a.
Then it's an even more successful parade.
it's even
Yeah.
more difficult. And something else we haven't talked about now, but you know the generosity of the crowd. There's guys on my float who have the crawfish trays, and they have markers with them, and they write beer meat on the back of them, and they hold the crawfish tray up, and they ride without any
Oh, yeah.
booze on the float, and people bring them food
Yeah.
and beers, and if you just mime like you'd like to have a chicken
Yeah, you get
leg, they will
Yeah.
bring you a chicken leg.
Uh-huh.
You know, we've had whole pizzas, fried elk. We've had
Fried elk.
I'm not kidding you. A guy handed up a styrofoam for my Canadian friends. You know, were riding, and they said some guy walked up to the float with like a 24-ounce styrofoam cup, and it was full of either Yukon Jack or one of those liquors like that. Just slap full, no ice, no nothing, and beers and whole pizza and fried chicken, and it's just when the float stops and
Yeah.
you're having an engagement with the crowd, you make friends even though they have no idea who you are,
Right. Yeah.
and they'll bring you food. They're just as generous.
You see it a lot, even with like the marching crews, especially like the younger bands. Man, you see all the moms out there handing out waters, and you know what I mean. It's very quick. They're like, "Feed the kids, make sure they're okay." But it's the same. Like they've always said, that's the most beautiful exchange in Mardi Gras is the exchange for beer and a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or handing a little kid on his dad's shoulder a cloisonne doubloon or a 999 silver if you really want to blow their mind or something.
Yeah.
I think I've won in my whole life.
Yeah. So the captain's doubloon, this little boy. Now, my float is also, we throw cockroaches.
No,
Dude, listen. No, listen.
Not cool, man.
No, it is cool. It is cool.
No,
Not real
man.
cockroaches. Not real cockroaches, but they're rubber cockroaches, and they look just like a cockroach. And I tell you, coming down, and the little kids come up
Yeah, you're right.
on their dad's shoulders, and you put your hand out, and you put a roach, bah! Or you throw them when you're coming down through the barricades, you know, by Julia and stuff down there,
Yeah.
you know where the stands are. And there'll be a husband and a wife standing next to each other, and you throw them, and the wife doesn't flinch, but the husband, the big burly guy,
Yeah.
with the hat backwards,
Yeah. Right.
just
I would
has
be
a
out of there.
has a
I'm terrified.
freak.
of tiger. I'm
Really?
absolutely terrified.
Even one like this.
Dude,
But
No,
we buy them by
I don't know what
the
the hell it
100
is.
grows, and they're I've had friends that send me a picture of their kids who got them and went back to Florida, and there's pictures of them in their sugar bowl at the house. They're in the refrigerator, and so they keep them, and
I had two of them. I'm not sure when y'all started throwing those, but I remember catching two of them years ago, and I super glued them to the very corner of my bedroom door. So like when you walked in, you just saw it out of the corner of your eye.
That's a great idea. But again, the off the wall stuff. We do the little squishy boobies, and throwing them to grown-ups is even more fun than the kid happen to get one because,
Yeah,
the wife gets one.
And, sitting in this pocket last year, and people were like, "What the hell?
What does it look like? I got a hole in my shirt, So, well, I'm going to go back to work. But listen, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I love the opportunity to talk about this thing
A little
because
gift for you."
it's well, that's very nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you on the parade route. And we'll see you.
I guarantee you will.
Text us when you get a chance. Post it on our on Okeanos Facebook page.
Yeah.
We got to sit down with some guys and there's several reasons that we're happy you're here. One, this camaraderie that we get to have. Two, get to be able to talk about it and to promote our club and we're being small. The opportunity for somebody to come.
You don't ride on the biggest stage. Y'all nothing small anymore.
Well,
you might be small in numbers, but man, y'all
we can hang.
y'all throw a parade.
We can hang. So, well, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
Y'all have a good day, man.
Yeah, you too.
Come see us.
All right, we are here with
Peter
this
Doherty.
year- yes, with this year's king,
Yes.
King Peter. So,
Okeanos 74.
yeah. So, what's going through your mind? We're what, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks roughly away from y'all's parade.
At this point, I'm excessively excited for what we've got coming because there's really not much for me to do between now and the parade. All of our fun stuff was trying to get ready for the ball,
Yeah.
and that now, since the ball's done, we're downhill slide, getting ready for the ride, and I'm so excited. I've been with the crew a little over 20 years. Been a float lieutenant for about 10.
Okay.
And I was the treasurer about 7 years before doing this. So, been around, been doing the other side, been behind the scenes, helping all the other kings for many, many years. And now I get to finally step up and be the man, so to speak.
Yeah. So, how long have you been waiting, per se, to be king?
I had never really planned on it, never really intended to it. And then the opportunity presented it last year, and I'm like, you know what? It's you only live once. It's a bucket list thing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm up until then. I'd always been happy to be behind the scenes. Get it done.
It's a particular honor too to be the 75th ride or 75th anniversary.
75th anniversary.
The 74th king.
Yeah, 74th king. Yep.
anniversary.
And then so 2 big years in a row because it'll be the 75th anniversary and the next year's 75th ride. So a lot of fun coming up.
Yeah, it amazed me. You were telling us before that y'all have only actually missed one ride in your whole 75 years, which is incredible. Cause,
Yeah, the COVID year, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was police strikes and war and
Yep.
everything else. So
Well, I think we started in '49, so while we didn't have the big one, we did have the Vietnam and Korea and all that fun stuff, and the various other conflicts between then and there.
Yeah. It's
So-
just amazing to me that you haven't missed any except for that. I mean, because
Well, it's a very dedicated
just
group. It's
tough.
we're not the largest by any stretch of the means.
Yeah.
We're
No, but
This-
y'all are a strong, bonded family.
we are, and I think that's what we get to. It started with, I don't know how much Lonnie gave you the history, but started out of the Ninth Ward with a very eclectic group of businessmen who wanted to celebrate the community.
Right.
And that sense of belonging is what's still today. 75 years later, for the longest time I had membership and I was involved with the website. So I know all the names, I know all the people, and how eclectic we are from students, and to general, staff, stay-at-home moms, whatever, all the way through doctors and lawyers and captains of industry and everything in between. And here nobody wears that. Everybody wears the Okeanos.
Yeah.
We're not president of this or doctor of that. It's Ralph, John,
Yeah.
Lonnie,
It's fellow Okeanos.
yeah,
member.
Todd, yeah, Bill. So it's very nice that way. And I think what I love is we're co-ed.
Yeah.
So my wife has ridden next to me or with me for the last 7 years. And so it's nice to be able to share something together rather than her being the Mardi Gras widow like a lot of folks are.
Yeah.
And then just watching it from the street as we go by for 30 seconds that we're in front of her. It's nice to spend the 4 or 5 hours on the ride together. So she puts a lot into it to get us here, and then she gets to enjoy it.
You find it tougher to have to pretend to behave yourself for the entire ride rather than just that 30 seconds?
Well, yes and no. Who says I behave myself from behind me?
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I get to watch her make sure she behaves herself.
Oh, there you go.
But I think that aspect of a family-oriented crew plays out not just in our events, but all the way through to the ride. I don't know if we ride. 14 is the minimum age to ride on a regular float, so 14 and
Yeah,
older.
that's young.
Which is young, but with an adult.
Yeah.
And then we have our 3 levels. We've got youth, we've got what we call a junior member, and then we got regular members. So we go 14 to 18, 19 to 25, and then 26 and above. We recognize that junior member, that young adult, may or may not have the wherewithal to be able to afford everything.
Yeah.
And so we have reduced rates for them to be able to try to expand and get them in. So it's a very open-hearted, very open community.
Yeah. So will your wife be riding with you on the King's Float?
No,
or
as
will
a
she
King's
be,
no, actually,
helping keep the natives at bay on your usual float.
actually, she's going to be at Gallier Hall this year, so she will be the part of the receiving committee at Gallier Hall.
Okay.
Which is normal for most kings. The wife, significant other, will go to Gallier Hall
Yeah.
with. Normally, I don't know. Did Lonnie talk to you that we're changing tradition this year?
No. Oh, maybe
This year is the first year that the newly crowned queen is going to ride.
Oh.
Up until this year, the way it was the queen was selected, and then they wait a year to ride. So we used to have the past queen
Oh,
ride.
okay.
So the queen and her court would be down at Gallier Hall to watch it, because we did that because of how short the time is between the ball and the ride.
Right.
Well, for various circumstances, past queen can't ride this year. So we're changing tradition. And the queen who was selected, she actually just walked in, so we might be able to get her to do a little interview with you. She's here on the premises. Is going to ride this year, her and her court. And so we didn't have anybody at Gallier Hall, so my wife will be the one at the receiving it down there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be different. I think it's actually better for the queens.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, we have a lot of high school girls as part of the queen,
Right.
part of the court. And if they go off to college, then trying to come back and schedule it, depending on when it gets a hassle. This way, within 4 or 5 weeks of the ball, they're still doing it. So there's still the excitement. They're able to do it.
Yeah. I didn't realize y'all had what was that? Oh, I didn't realize that they waited a year because I always saw the queen. So.
Yeah, no, it was. Again, it used to be because of just the time, get the beads,
Yeah.
get the doubloons, but we've gotten much faster at doubloons. So she will be able to throw this year.
Awesome.
So it'll be exciting. Now, did Lonnie and anybody go into our tableau and how we select the queen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the different colored rows.
Yeah, that's
Which I love. I think that's
Yeah.
tradition. Yeah.
I like that it takes all pressure and politics and money. Again, it goes back to that being an all-inclusive crew, that you don't have to spend, 10, 20, whatever, a whole bunch of money, and then to get your daughter or whatever selected. I think this is nice. It's an equal opportunity.
Yeah.
Kismet, 100% a chance, which is nice.
Yeah. No, it's sort of, it's a throwback in a little way to, the old king cake style
Right.
selection of a king,
Yeah.
which is truly, anybody can be king for a day, so, or the year, but
Yeah.
for the day,
Yeah, we used to have a King's Club but that was well before my time. So now we individuals like myself can just walk up to the board and say I'm interested, and they work out the timing. We've got a funnel. We got people who are next in line. We know who the next 2 or 3 years are, so they can start planning. And it's been fun.
Anything in particular you're looking forward to on your ride, or just can't wait for the whole thing?
I'm excited for the whole thing. Like I said, I've been riding for a while. I think it's really the opposite because it's such an early ride this year.
Yeah.
I'm really concerned about the weather.
No, it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I know it has never rained on Okeanos. And I agree. I understand. But the reality is, for the people watching the parade, I want to make sure that they're in decent, comfortable weather.
Yeah.
I think we've all watched parades when it's in the 30s or 40s. It's not quite as enthusiastic as when
But
it's in the
don't hit me
60s,
with the
70s.
big
I'm
beats,
predicting
please.
it'll be 72 degrees, sunny, beautiful weather.
I'll take 60, 65.
Right, yeah.
And I'll actually take a little overcast because it's not so hot. But
Yeah.
no rain, no mist, not too
Yeah.
cold.
I like
think
that.
that's
You got to light yourself the Margaret Orr candle,
Yeah.
make sure everything's okay.
definitely. So
I love that they sell those.
it is fun. That's exciting. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think the real excitement was for the ball, and waiting for that and doing that coordination. That was exciting. I think once that sort of made it real. Up until then, it's been planning. It's been coordinating who's coming. It's been coordinating the doubloons and that kind of stuff. Having been in the background, I was able to prepare. I don't know if you saw if you look at my crown on the doubloon, it's unique. If you look at the headband of that,
It's got your...
those are my initials. I don't know if you can see it on there, and if you do, I can get you a better one. So I don't know if I'm the first king. I know probably am within Okeanos, but my initials are PWD. So if you look at that little band, it's a combination of PWD and multiple, repeating.
It's pretty neat.
So, that kind of stuff. We did the second line handkerchiefs, the napkins for the ball, getting ready for the King's party. My King's party will be February 9th. So the Friday before we ride, we'll be taking over the Chicory for a couple hours, and we'll be done by 8. So anybody's coming to the party will be able to make the parades later that night. But that's going to be fun. That's going to be my opportunity to really intermingle with everybody.
Yeah.
Because at the ball it gets a little tight, a little hard. But
How is your ball? Is it more of a traditional tableau sort of ball? Or?
100%. I just want to say, the tableau starts at 8, finishes about 9:15, and then we turn into more of a party.
Yeah.
So, but we do the tradition, what I consider the traditional tableau. Start off with the introductions of the passport, then the new maids, and then we select the queen. So that we talked about pulling it. That's at the coronation ball.
Wow.
So it's all part of our tableau.
Yeah.
And then after the queen is when then the king I get coordinated, or I was coordinated after the queen selected, and we do our normal parades and around the ballroom and that kind of stuff, and then change and have fun.
Right, have fun. Yeah. So, yeah, we're excited to see y'all. The fact that y'all are rolling 75 years. That's a major feat for.
It is a lot of years.
There's how many articles have we seen in the newspaper and various publications, Arthur Hardy Guide and so forth, where it shows parades that ain't there no more. And
So many.
This one's come through. It's had some lean years and some really, really lean years. When I joined, probably about 10 years ago, we were down to like 200 members. We were tight.
yeah,
That's 200 is not quite enough to put this on.
Yeah.
The first year post COVID was at 2022. We had 415 riders, but I think that was just everybody anxious to run.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're going to stable out in that 375 mode, which I think
which
for
is
us
a good number. That's a
which is
great
nice
number. It makes it to where as much as I love seeing those crews that have 2,000 members and these astronomical numbers. The crew that I ride in, it's we've got somewhere around
Roughly
that
around that same
250
number.
to 375, somewhere in between.
But it's
Yeah.
good for
To
the
where
family
it makes
thing.
it to where you can walk around at crew events and you know everybody.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you're heading exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I recognize, just like you said, 250, 300, that could be one float in the mega cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know, but not for us. And you're right. We go to the Gulf. We do the day at the Horaces or fish fry or any of that stuff. It's the same faces. No, you know it is. And a lot of what's neat is the generations that are there.
Yeah.
I think, well, like we talked Lonnie's sons, and her daughter's not going to be able to ride with us, but her son. So that's the third or fourth generation that's riding with that. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of that. The Queen this year, her grandfather, I believe, or grandfather, was one of the founding members
Oh, wow.
of this crew way back when. And she can give you more details of that.
Wow.
And her grandmother was a maid. So maybe I guess it was her grandfather. So I mean, that kind of tradition. And now here she is. How many generations now? She's the queen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's unique
Yeah.
about us, is you have that and you watch them grow up. And well, actually, even today, you probably heard of that noise in the background. We're doing bead loading.
Yeah.
And Lonnie's eldest son, Zach, who
Is
I
one of the- yeah, is one of the
when I saw him,
folks
was
who's
like,
helping.
he's now one of the team leads.
Right.
So he's leading this effort. He's picking up and learning and
I'll
doing
tell you
that.
what, they're a machine out there.
Oh,
I'm
we've
just
got it
watching
down.
them toss them up one after another. Like, Jesus, man,
Well,
they're
we
going.
had stepped outside for like literally 5 minutes, and like within that 5 minutes, they were bringing out several pallets from the
Yes.
the throws that they were loading in. And it's like, wow, they
Yeah.
loaded all that quick. I mean,
It's- yeah.
that would have taken me an hour to do.
Much better than when I started. When we started, they used to back up a U-Haul, and each float had to go in and get their own stuff and load their own stuff. And we tried to do it within like 6 hours. That was a madhouse.
Yeah.
We've now got it. The crew coordinates. You buy through us, not mandatory, not required, but anybody who wants to. And then if you buy it through us, we load it as part of the service.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
a lot
it
easier
makes
for
it-
us because now, by next weekend, 85-90% of the throws will be loaded
Yeah.
2 weeks early.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. It
ride
makes
a
it to
break
where
of a
you
bag
can
or two and
you
you're
can
done.
enjoy your parade day as
Right.
opposed to
Right.
stressing of, oh my God, I still need to go get these
Exactly.
rubber dog poops or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Moon pies, whatever we got to get.
yeah.
Rubber dog poop. That's my favorite of all Mardi Gras throws of all time. I'm so mad if they took those away.
So I think I'm excited, and I think then as the guy who's responsible now, I'm currently responsible for the storefront.
Okay.
It's a madhouse, but we offer over 100 different throws. Probably half of them are logoed. We
Yeah.
got something with Krewe of Okeanos on it, which I think it's one for a crew this small. That's a lot of stuff. I think we have more than a lot of the super crews.
Well,
and the just different items with a
Right.
logo on it.
Well, it makes it also nice to where, in theory, as a spectator, you're not going to get just 99 beads with Okeanos on it.
Right.
It's like with that type of variety, you might get, a hat. You might get, a doubloon. You might get a bead. You might get a cup. You might get,
Yeah.
a
we-
crawfish tray.
You got crawfish
You
trays.
know,
We got
the-
2 different medallions coming out out this year. We've got our block beads. The buckets. We've talked about all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what's nice, is being able to offer that diversity
Yeah.
on top of what everybody else brings anyway.
Yeah. But it sounds like each float is sort of taken it upon themselves to differentiate their little crew from the few people we've spoken to. Seems like these glasses and the trays all the guys make, and it seems like there's something fun on.
Yeah, we
just
have,
about every float.
A lot of the stuff we're throwing today, like the crawfish trays. One crew did it, and then we took it. The buckets, one crew did it originally, and then we've taken it out. Some of the medallion beads or whatever. One crew starts it, and then we like it, and we pop it out. You talk to Todd Goldberg. Some of the cups he's brought in.
Yeah.
So those type of things, and that's why I think part of the reason I think that's how we got to 100 different items. There's a lot of good ideas. We have one float who has for the last 2 years hand decorated silver dollars. Not silver dollars, excuse me. Sand dollars.
Oh, you
Okay.
I'm a coin collector. I just went, what?
No, sorry about that. Sand dollars. So to in support of our oceanic and our water things.
Yeah.
So they have to hand them down. They're they are the true fragile sand dollars.
Yeah.
So for the lucky few who get them, but that's starting to take off on
really
our cruise.
neat.
We have more floats starting to do that.
That's really neat.
So
I like it in your, in your theme. It just works.
So we're excited. I don't know if we talked about it. I mean, this year we're going to have 11 different aluminum doubloons. So we got.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not the most out there, but for us, that's the most that we've ever
That's
done.
a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot for your size crew,
Yeah.
because like,
But again, that's a float. A lot of these are float specific.
Right.
So you just got to know which float is where and who's got the different colors. And
But I love that y'all have, I mentioned it to a couple of the other folks. I love that y'all, for the most part every year, y'all have, at least 6, 7, 8 doubloons in a variety of colors to where, there's that, for lack of better words, a rainbow of doubloons to get.
right.
I love that y'all actually sell a set. Because as much as I'm going to try to get it, I can enjoy the parade more just buying the set and then going with it. Because, I collect the balloons. I want them, right? So if I have to find one color, I'd be more worried about that than enjoying the parade.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Well, we originally started creating the sets to give to the members.
Yeah.
Just as part of that way they because everybody say, oh, I want one. Well, wait a minute. Okay, I'll just go, since again I order all this stuff. I went ahead and just order them, have them prepackaged. It's cool. Well, then I realized why not? Because I do know you guys as collectors.
Yeah.
It just takes it's fun. It's set. It's done. You've got it, and you're comfortable. So I think we get a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, I'll still be out there hounding for them because that's, I was bred to do that.
Yep.
Pretty sure that's why my dad had a son.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as king, you've seen my blues.
Yeah.
It's a different one. I do have some silver ones, some plain ones that I have, going to be throwing out. Not that many of them. So if anybody's fortunate enough to get it, know that they got like one of 50 plain aluminums coming up with
okay.
things. The other thing you were talking about, my wife riding with me, she's not. But this year I have the fortune. My 2 boys, adult boys. So one's 26 and one's 32.
Okay, so they're gonna be your,
my attendant.
attendants?
They're my attendants, and it's going to be right. It's been a long time since I've ridden with both of them. So being able to share that moment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sort of circle back to where we were earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to be special for me is being able to ride and share the moment with them. And as a king, we really don't throw that much. They really don't want us just the pages. So I'll be able to really enjoy looking at the crowds and watching the crowds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys know as riders, you really can't enjoy it that much because you've got to throw and you've got to spot the person. You got to
Yeah,
make sure
I'm so busy looking into my bag to see.
and then making the
where-
eye attack and make sure that who you're throwing it to is watching you so
Yeah.
they don't get belted. So with the king this year, I'm not going to have to. I'll be able to stand, sit, and just enjoy
and read all the signs.
right
See all the costumes.
the costumes, right? All the people enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Well, it never fails. Like, every time I ride, I saw you. I was yelling your name. I was like, yeah, you and 400 other people.
Yeah, exactly.
You miss them all. It's like it never fails. But
No, it doesn't. So I think that'll be fun
yeah,
that way. It's just sitting and doing that.
that's got to be a totally different experience.
It will be. So we'll find it. It's a once in a lifetime, and we get to do it this year.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
congratulations. on
yeah,
your ride.
congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you
And,
for having me.
yeah,
Thank you
we
guys
hope
for
that
coming
you have a
in.
magical ride.
It's going to be a beautiful ride, regardless.
So, all hail Okeanos.
All hail Okeanos. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, should I kiss the ring?
All right, we are here with this year's queen.
Hi.
Yeah, all hail.
Yeah.
So, I have to know, when you drew the lucky rose, was it like the excited lady that you see on Price is Right, or I mean, what was your reaction?
Oh my gosh, the video is awful because so they videoed me doing it, my family and everything, and I opened the box and I have it, and then I watched all the other girls peel theirs off first because I was like, I just need to see what's going on, right? And then I didn't see any of them jump in, so I was like, oh. So I pulled it off, and then my face goes like complete shock. And
Because
I
you're
don't
a new
know.
member too, right?
Yes, yes. So I was invited by Mr. Dave, his niece Jean. I go to school with, and she's one of the other maids. And she was like, "Do you want to do this with me? It's going to be a lot of fun." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So I was like completely like drawn aback because I didn't think at all that I would get queen. Like I was completely sure that I was not going to get it because of being new and everything. But that's the whole thing with how they pick queen, the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And I was the lucky one. So that's what everybody asked me after. They were like, "Were you excited?" And I was like, that was my excited face. That was my shocked face. And I was stumbling over there, and then immediately right after that we practiced, what to do if you got queen, and it was just I was running on autopilot. Mr. Peter was telling me everything to do. He was like, "Okay, we're gonna walk now," and I was like, "All right, I'm just here." So yeah.
So from what we understand, you're the first queen to get the role in the parade on her year of her reign.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited about with the parade? I mean, have you ridden in a parade before?
So when I was 16, I was in the Crew of Lords in St. Bernard Parish.
Okay.
And so I got to ride in a convertible in the Crew and Nemesis parade.
Okay.
So I've never actually ridden on a float or anything before. But I was in the marching band in high school. So at Chalmette High.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with the route and the energy and the culture and everything. But
Your
now,
first float ride is going to be as queen.
yeah.
Spoiled. You're never going to top that now.
Yeah.
No.
Well, one thing that I will say is that, as a past marcher myself with the band, it's like there were moments when I could soak in the crowd per se. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be shell shocked by the crowd.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be a completely different experience, and I'm just really excited. And I feel really blessed to be a part of everything, and because I wouldn't be here without that invitation.
Yeah.
So, it's really exciting.
Yeah, we wish you a wonderful ride, and all hail Okeanos.
Okay.
All hail.
Yeah. So we look forward to seeing you out there on the route for sure.
Hope
Thank you.
have the most memorable time of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really did, because honestly, I hope it strikes you as how special that actually is, because it's once in a lifetime, if that. So you got really lucky on the draw, and I really hope perfect weather, perfect time, and everything else.
Yeah.
So all hail.
All hail.
Yeah. All hail. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Sign out. We will see you on the route. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to check out tonight's guests online. You can check them out at links all listed over here. Also, if you like us, you can support us. You go to our website, you can purchase our shirts and
These
couple other
things.
goodies that we have out there. And be sure to follow us online as well. The links are all over here. And while you're at it, be sure to click that subscribe button down there and the little bell to stay in touch on when we put out new content. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the route.